They called Earth young, a newborn in the endless sea of stars. To them, we were nothing but children playing with fire, not ready to walk among the ancient empires that ruled the galaxy. They laughed when our first crude signals echoed into space. They ignored us when our tiny probes brushed the edges of the void. But they should have remembered something. Young doesn't mean weak. And children, when threatened, can become the fiercest warriors. Captain Sarah Keene stood on the bridge of the Vindicator, Earth's first true starship. It wasn't a colony ship. It wasn't a science vessel. It was a warship, built in the shadows of the world's last great conflict, hidden from alien eyes. Humanity had grown up in a universe that thought it could bully them. Now, they were ready to show the galaxy exactly what that mistake would cost. Status report, Keene said, her voice calm and sharp. Around her, the bridge crew moved with precision. They weren't rookies. They were veterans, the best Earth had to offer. Engines online. Weapons systems fully charged. Shields at maximum capacity. Lieutenant Rios rattled off the checklist without hesitation. Good, Keene said. Open the comms to the Zorith patrol. The screen lit up, revealing the face of Commander Velrin of the Zorith Empire. His gray scales shimmered under the lights of his bridge. He looked down at Sarah like one might look at an insect. Human vessel, you are in restricted space, Velrin said. Turn back immediately, or you will be destroyed. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. This was the moment Earth had waited for. This was why the Vindicator had been built. Commander Velrin, she said, this is Captain Keene of the Earth Defense Force. We are not trespassing. We are delivering a message. And what message is that, insect? Sarah's eyes hardened. Earth is no longer young. Earth is no longer weak. Attack us at your peril. Velrin laughed, a deep, mocking sound that filled the bridge. Very well, little human. Let us see what your toy ship can do. The transmission cut. Immediately, alarms blared across the Vindicator's bridge. Incoming weapons lock. Multiple Zorith ships moving to intercept. Keene stood tall. She didn't flinch. She didn't hesitate. Fire all batteries, she ordered. Target their lead ship first. The Vindicator moved like a predator unleashed. Plasma cannons roared to life, carving through the darkness of space. Railguns fired hypervelocity slugs that punched through enemy shields like paper. Missiles streaked across the void, finding their marks with deadly precision. The Zorith ships weren't ready. They had expected a skirmish, an easy kill. They got a slaughter. One by one, the patrol ships exploded into balls of fire and twisted metal. Within minutes, half the Zorith force was gone. The survivors tried to regroup, but the Vindicator was already moving, slipping through their formations like a blade through cloth. Captain, the Zorith flagship is attempting to retreat, Lieutenant Rios reported. Not yet, Keene said. Disable their engines. Let's make sure they remember who taught them fear. A concentrated barrage struck the Zorith flagship, crippling its propulsion systems. The massive vessel drifted helplessly, dead in the water. Keene opened a channel again. Commander Velrin appeared once more, his face no longer amused. It was pale with disbelief. You dare? Earth dares, Keene said coldly. And Earth will not be mocked again. Velrin growled, but there was no more defiance in him. Only fear. The message was clear. Earth had entered the galactic stage, not as a supplicant, not as a weakling, but as a warrior ready to carve its place in the stars. Keene turned to her crew. Transmit our victory to Earth. Let them know the operation was a success. Cheers erupted across the bridge, but Keene remained steady. This was only the beginning. There were older, greater powers watching. The Zorith Empire was only one enemy among many. She knew more battles were coming. Bigger ones. Bloodier ones. Let them come, she thought. Earth was ready. And this time, the galaxy would learn what it meant to awaken a sleeping giant. The stars ahead were endless. The wars to come would be brutal. But humanity had found its voice. And it spoke in the thunder of guns, the blaze of plasma fire, and the fury of a young world no longer willing to bow. News of the Vindicator's victory spread faster than light across the human colonies. Earth had struck, and it had struck hard. The galaxy, once indifferent to the small blue planet, was now paying attention. Some with fear, others with anger. But back on Earth, there was no celebration. Only preparation. Admiral Zhao stood before the gathered fleet commanders in the war room, a massive holographic table displaying hundreds of star systems. The Zorith won't let this go, Zhao said. We bloodied their nose. Now they'll come looking for revenge. Let them, General Reeves said with a grin. About time we finished what they started. Zhao nodded. Earth was done hiding. Done pretending. The Vindicator had been the first hammer blow. Now the full weight of humanity's arsenal would follow. Launch the second fleet, Zhao ordered. Prepare the Phalanx-class warships for deployment. Meanwhile, in orbit above Mars, the Vindicator underwent quick repairs. Captain Keen walked the ship's corridors, watching as engineers worked tirelessly to patch up battle scars. The crew was exhausted but alive. Victorious. They knew the real fight was still ahead. Captain, incoming transmission, Rios called from the bridge. Keen hurried back to her chair. On screen appeared a new figure. Ambassador Traxel of the Avani Coalition, an alien race known for neutrality and cunning. Captain Keen, Traxel said, his voice silky smooth. You have stirred the nest. The Zorith are rallying. There's talk of retaliation, on a scale your people have never faced. Keen's expression didn't change. Then we'll face it. Traxel leaned forward. I come with a warning and an offer. The Zorith seek allies. If humanity stands alone, you will fall. But if Earth moves quickly, you could gain friends. Powerful ones. We don't need friends who watched us suffer and stayed silent, Keen replied sharply. Perhaps, Traxel said with a thin smile. But even the strongest warriors need shields. The transmission ended. Keen sat back, thoughtful. Trusting aliens wasn't in her blood. But Earth couldn't afford arrogance. Not yet. Prepare the diplomatic envoys, she ordered. Select only the best. If some alliances can be made, we'll make them, but on our terms. Hours later, the Vindicator led the second fleet from Mars orbit. A line of warships, gleaming under distant suns, pointed toward the Zorith border. Humanity wasn't waiting for the enemy to strike. They were bringing the war to them. Admiral Zhao's voice came over the fleet-wide channel. Today, we fight not for revenge, but for respect. For freedom. For the future of Earth and her children among the stars. Strike hard. Strike true. Keen looked at the stars ahead, her heart steady. Whatever lay beyond, humanity would meet it with fire. In the cold silence of deep space, Earth's fury was coming. The second fleet cut through the void like a blade, a moving wall of human defiance. Star after star slid past as the warships pushed deeper towards Zorith territory. Every crew member knew what was coming. No illusions. No mercy. On the bridge of the Vindicator, Captain Keen stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the main display. Enemy activity was increasing ahead. Scout ships. Patrols. They were being watched. The Zorith know we're coming, Rios said, monitoring the tactical scans. Good, Keen replied. Let them know fear. A soft alarm sounded. Incoming transmission, encrypted. Keen gave a small nod. On screen appeared a face they didn't expect, General Vrax, a high-ranking Zorith warlord. His scales were a darker, battle-hardened gray, and his eyes held none of Velrin's earlier arrogance. Only grim calculation. Human Captain, Vrax said. Your victory was unexpected, but it will not be repeated. Keen kept her voice steady. You think we came for one battle? Vrax growled low. You came to die? You brought your children to the slaughter. Wrong, Keen said. We brought judgment. The transmission ended abruptly. Within seconds, the tactical screen lit up with alerts. Zorith fleets were mobilizing ahead, dozens of warships, maybe more. Battle stations, Keen ordered calmly. The fleet shifted into attack formations. Shields came online. Weapon systems charged. The cold readiness of trained warriors filled the air. They came like a tide, Zorith cruisers, destroyers, carriers. The void flashed alive with missiles, plasma bolts, and kinetic slugs. Vindicator's guns roared in response. The second fleet unleashed hell. Space became a maelstrom of fire and wreckage. Ships twisted and shattered under brutal barges. Human fighters weaved between enemy lines, launching precision strikes against Zorith engines and weapon pods. Keen barked rapid-fire commands, directing strikes, calling for cover fire, repositioning units where the line wavered. Every decision was life and death. On the flank, a human destroyer took a heavy hit and began to spiral out of control. Instantly, two escort ships surged forward, covering its retreat. We hold the line, Keen said through gritted teeth. No ship left behind. Hours bled together in the chaos. Losses mounted on both sides. But where the Zorith fought with rage, the humans fought with discipline, with purpose. In the final moments, Keen ordered the hammer blow, a concentrated strike at the heart of the enemy fleet. Missiles punched through shields. Railguns tore through hulls. Plasma beams seared across command decks. The Zorith line broke. Their ships scattered, some crippled, others fleeing into the blackness. Humanity had done the unthinkable. They had shattered a Zorith battle group head-on. On the bridge of the Vindicator, battered but victorious, Keen allowed herself a breath. "Status report," she asked. "Minor damage across the fleet. 3 ships lost. 4 heavily damaged. But the enemy is in full retreat," Rios said, his voice tinged with awe. Keen nodded grimly. "Prepare recovery teams. Rescue any survivors." "Both sides, sir?" Rios asked, surprised. "They need to understand," Keen said. "Mercy is a strength, not a weakness." Across the stars, in distant command centers and shadowy council chambers, the galaxy watched. Earth had not just fought. Earth had led. The old powers took note. A storm was gathering, and humanity was ready to meet it head-on. The battlefield floated behind them like a graveyard of twisted metal. Fires burned cold in the vacuum of space. Rescue teams moved quickly, pulling survivors from ruined hulls, human and Zorith alike. Captain Keen watched from the Vindicator's bridge. Her face was stone, but her mind raced. The message was clear. Earth would not be crushed easily. Yet this was only the beginning. "Incoming transmission," Rios announced. Keen nodded. On screen appeared Admiral Zhao, transmitted live from the Phalanx command ship. "Excellent work," Zhao said without smiling. "But intel shows the Zorith aren't retreating to regroup. They're falling back to a fortified system. A fortress world." Keen's eyes narrowed. "They're luring us." "Exactly," Zhao replied. "They want a decisive battle. They think we'll bleed ourselves dry attacking a dug-in position." Keen leaned forward slightly. "What's our move?" Zhao's lips curved into a thin smile. "We're giving them what they want, but not how they expect." Orders flashed to the fleet. Special teams were dispatched in stealth shuttles, saboteurs, infiltration specialists, demolition experts. While the Zorith prepared for a siege, humanity would dismantle their defenses from within. As the Second Fleet repaired and rearmed, Keen summoned her officers for a closed-door briefing. "We're not here just to win," she told them. "We're here to break their will." She pointed at the star map showing the enemy's fortress world, dense with orbital guns, minefields, and patrol fleets. "We'll strike their weak points," Keen said. "Blind their sensors. Disable their weapons. When the fleet arrives, they won't be ready." Rios grinned fiercely, like stealing candy from a baby. "Harder," Keen corrected. "These aren't babies. These are monsters who think we're prey." The infiltration teams moved under the cover of cosmic radiation storms, slipping past Zorith scanners. On the ground, operatives planted explosives, sabotaged shield generators, and hacked communication relays. Within 2 days, the enemy's outer defenses were in chaos. Orbital guns misfired. Patrols collided in confusion. The fortress world's vaunted security became its own worst enemy. "Now," Keen ordered, "begin the assault." The Second Fleet surged forward. Humanity didn't attack head-on. They came from unexpected angles, from asteroid fields, from shadowed moons, from warp jumps so short they seemed like flashes of lightning. The Zorith defenders tried to rally, but confusion reigned. Weapons wouldn't lock. Shields flickered and collapsed. Critical power grids failed one by one. Vindicator led the charge, her guns blazing. Behind her, destroyers, cruisers, and carriers unleashed everything they had. Zorith ships exploded in brilliant bursts of fire. Ground installations fell silent under precise orbital strikes. The fortress world's mighty walls cracked and burned. In the command center of the Zorith capital, generals screamed and roared in disbelief. This wasn't a battle, it was an unraveling. On the bridge of the Vindicator, Keen stood tall, her voice cutting through the chaos. "All ships, advance. Take the system. Secure it. Show them Earth strength." Hours later, the dust settled. Where once a proud fortress had stood, now only smoldering ruins remained. Keen stepped onto the observation deck, gazing at the planet below. Fires traced lines across its surface, a reminder of human precision and wrath. "We need to set up a message," she said. She ordered a beacon deployed into orbit, broadcasting a simple signal across every open frequency. This system is now under human protection. Earth is no one's prey. Asterisk asterisk. Across the galaxy, the message was heard. Some feared it. Some hated it. But none could deny it. Earth had come of age, and with it, the reckoning had begun. And deep in the shadows of the universe, older, darker powers stirred, watching humanity's rise with new and terrible interest. The real war was only just beginning. The fortress world's ashes still drifted in orbit when the next message came. Not from the Zorith. From someone older. Unknown vessel detected, Rios reported, a frown deepening on his face. No ID codes. No known designs. Keen stared at the tactical display. The ship was massive, larger than anything human or Zorith forces fielded. It moved with impossible precision, slipping through subspace like a knife through water. Open a channel, Keen ordered. Static at first. Then a voice, ancient and cold, filled the bridge. Humans, your kind has awakened before its time. Keen felt a chill crawl up her spine, but she stood firm. We'll decide our time, she said. You challenge the natural order. Return to your cradle, or be destroyed. Keen smiled grimly. That's not happening. The alien ship shifted, unfolding weapon systems that bent physics itself. Energy readings spiked beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Rios muttered, Captain, their firepower could wipe us out in minutes. Keen didn't flinch. We don't back down. She keyed into the fleet-wide comms. This is Captain Keen. We've faced monsters before. We'll face this one too. Stand your ground. The fleet formed up around Vindicator. Shields at maximum. Weapons primed. The alien ship fired first. Reality twisted as beams of impossible energy lanced out. But the Vindicator's shields, newly enhanced with reverse-engineered Zorith tech, held. Return fire. Keen shouted. The void exploded in light. Human missiles, plasma, railgun slugs hammered the alien ship. Its shields shimmered, bent, and then cracked. For the first time in centuries, that ancient race realized they had underestimated something. Humans didn't fight like older species. They didn't bow. They didn't surrender. They adapted. They endured. They struck back harder. The alien ship tried to retreat, but humanity pressed the attack. Fighters swarmed it like wasps. Heavy cannons pummeled its engines. In a final blinding explosion, the ship tore itself apart and vanished into nothingness. Silence filled the bridge of the Vindicator. Then cheers erupted across the fleet. Keen allowed herself a moment, just a moment, to smile. Message incoming, Rios said, blinking at his console. Keen raised an eyebrow. From who? Unknown origin. Just 2 words, Rios said, voice tight. He pressed a button. Across every screen, the words burned bright. Soon, others will come. Keen stared at the message, then turned to her crew. Then we'll be ready, she said. Across the galaxy, worlds whispered in fear and awe. The age of humanity had arrived. And Earth, once thought young and weak, had shown its true nature. A starborn storm no power could contain. This was only the beginning. The stars would never be the same again.